Do do do, theme song. Do do do, I'm broke so this is my theme song. Do do do, just imagine this is an awesome theme song. Do do, theme song. Left of the box. Hello, welcome to Left of the Box. Bonjour, bienvenue. I'm Sandy. Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone on this, it is Monday. Yeah, it's Monday. It's Monday. December the 23rd. It's hard to remember what days of the week it is when it comes to this time of year because everything is kind of out of whack with your regular programming, your regular schedules, all that sort of stuff. Plus, I wasn't able to get to bed till like 4. Well, I got to bed at like 2:30, maybe 2. I didn't get to sleep till about 4:30. It was one of those nights. My brain was just so wired about a video I want to make, and it wouldn't shut up. So I had to write down a whole bunch of stuff, like clips I need to gather, all that, and it's just so tomorrow I won't be live streaming. I will be collecting all the clips and screen grabs and stuff I need for that video so that I can get that put together relatively quickly. So far in the sandbox, we have Soul Life, Philip Blair, Bad Lefty, Genie Bottle. Welcome. LOL, did Sandy just check the day with their boobs? Sorry, Sandy. What? I don't understand that. I'm guessing you're saying something about my sweater, but I don't understand that. I mean, this sweater? Yeah, I have to be a bit careful with it because it can open. But I want to make sure that it doesn't, break YouTube's TOS. Anyway, I don't have a ton planned for today, and I am starting a lot earlier than normal because, again, all the other regular programming is off, so I'm hoping to maybe capture some of the audience that is still around. I will be live streaming on Wednesday, which, for those of you who don't know, is Christmas Day. And I do that because I'm aware that for a lot of people, they might be spending it alone, the holidays in general, and it can be a lonely time of year, especially with all your regular outlets and connections maybe distracted or not available. And so I just want to provide a place of community and talking and socializing. I don't know what to do that day. I have nothing actually planned. So in the sandbox, let me know what you would kind of like to see for Christmas Day on here, because I don't want to dive into politics because, that's a bit heavy. And again, it's more just about building community and whatnot. So let me know in the sandbox, maybe something you would like to do on Christmas Day in this live stream. And I'll see if I can arrange it. And let's see, anything else? Yeah. Again, I don't have a ton of news to go over, which is fine because I don't want this to be a long live stream. And I know I say that a lot. I get it. I say that a lot. But like literally, I don't have that many tabs open for this live stream. So it shouldn't take as long because I do have things I want to get done later this evening. Anyway, let's see. Laura Malcolm stopping in to wish you all happy holidays. Well, happy holidays to you as well. Bad Lefty, you adjusted your sweaters. You told us it was Monday. Sorry. Did I? I'm not aware I did that, but I fidget a lot. Here, I have a matching fidget cube. It's blue and white to go with my sweater that I'll be playing with. So, should we get into it? I'm still kind of in like a chatty wind up to news mood. Um, and part of it is, again, my brain is just still in overdrive, thinking about the video that I'm trying to put together. Like it's distracted thinking like, okay, these are the clips I need to get. These are the points I want to do. And I'm going to be scripting it out too, which makes it easier for me to make the video, but it's hard to initially script it. Because I want to make sure I'm saying everything right in it. And I do want to get it out like this week. And I say that all the time because I still have the Tim Pool video I want to do when he was talking to Sam Cedar about reproductive rights. And there's still other videos. So I really need to get back to making my video essays again because they're the best way for me to go in depth on a certain subject and make sure I say everything I want to say. Genie Bottle, maybe Sandy can eat X-Mix dinner and get a whole lot of new viewers. Would people really want to see me eat? You know, I'm a bit self-conscious eating in front of other people who aren't eating, if that makes sense. If I'm in a food court, out to a restaurant with somebody, eating dinner with other people, I'm fine eating. But if I'm just like eating in front of a whole bunch of people that aren't eating, I feel really weird. And there's like multi-layers to that because part of me is worried, especially on streams. It's like, what if they can't afford to eat a nice meal and then they're just, I'm rubbing it in their face? Or a lot of people could make, well, used to make remarks about my size. And it's like, do you really need to be eating right now type thing? So I get self-conscious eating in front of people who aren't eating. So I don't know. I don't know. I know Hassan gets away with eating on stream. I think that's where that's coming from. And I do love turkey. Bad Lefty also hates eating in front of others. Yeah. But, you know, there are some things I guess I can do. I have a TYT clip I was thinking of going over today, but I might save that for Christmas Day because why not rage on Christmas Day? But the video that I'm trying to put together is also about TYT, so I might get it into a little bit TYT overburn? No. Oversaturation in my head, maybe. So, and just trying to plan things. I do plan on seeing some friends over the holidays. So there's that, trying to arrange that. Yeah, I don't know. Laura Malcolm, yeah, I much prefer to eat privately myself. Yeah. Maybe we should just get into it. Get into the news of the day. So I had a live stream back on Friday, and I was joined by the wonderful Letter Hack. And there was some news stories in there that I kind of touched on, but I wasn't able to really go in depth because he wasn't really here to help me do a lot of like analysis on the news of the day. We were more talking about, you know, how to build movements, how to keep going forward, how to keep motivated during this time of this right-wing kind of takeover when it comes to, you know, the government here in Canada and in the United States. So I wanted to go over what I had touched on with the Letter Hack. And there's also been some updates to it, so it makes sense for me to add to it now. But please go back and watch that live stream with the Letter Hack. We had a really good time. And if you're in the mood for something lighter, for the last large chunk of it, we were just talking about like comic books and potential comic movies and things of that sort, and just relaxing, because sometimes you need a break. And the last week, for people who are terminally online like me, on leftist circles and stuff, it was a busy mental week. So it was nice to just kind of, you know, not talk about all of that and just talk about something light. But now we are going to talk about politics, Canadian politics. You know what? I haven't done this in a while, so why don't I do this?
Today in Canadian news.
Yes, today in Canada news. Well, it didn't start just today, and it's not that breaking, but there's updates to it. The Liberal Party, the federal Liberal Party of this country, is in chaos. You had the Minister of Finance, who is also the Deputy Prime Minister, resign from her position. Yeah. And that was kind of preemptive before Justin Trudeau had the chance to reassign her to a different minister job, which is normal to have cabinet shuffles and stuff. But I guess she took the opportunity to make it about her, and she did. And they're very much pushing for a leadership run right now. And it's getting messy. It's getting really messy. My feeling is nothing is going to happen before the new year because Justin Trudeau is just, he doesn't want a leadership race. He thinks he can win the next election. I wish I had that level of confidence in anything. And you've seen my artwork, and I know my artwork is good, but that still doesn't compare to the level of confidence that Justin Trudeau must have in himself in order to think he stands a chance of winning the next election. Like, to have that much ego, it must be so nice to live life like that, to never doubt yourself or anything, to just live in this heavenly bliss of knowing you can do anything. I wish I had that headspace. However, it can be very counterproductive to have that headspace, to have no inner reflection, no self-reflection, no, taking a moment to think, is this really the best for everyone else, or is it just the best for me? Making it more about the people you're supposed to serve, the people of Canada, as opposed to what you personally want to accomplish in life. So I don't think anything will happen before the new year, but in the new year, wow. My suspicion is he will refuse to have a leadership race unless he is basically forced to. He's not going to do it out of any sense of, it seems my party is a little upset with me, which they are. So maybe we should have this leadership race. Everyone is demanding. It's going to be his party kind of has to force the hand. And if the party doesn't force the hand in a leadership race, well, there's going to be a vote of non-confidence coming in from either the NDP or the Conservative Party. The fun thing with that is who gets to propose it first. Because if the NDP propose it first, the Conservatives won't want to vote for non-confidence because it wasn't their vote. And if the Conservatives propose it first, then the NDP won't want to vote with them because they don't want to be seen as agreeing with the Conservatives. This is why we can't get anything done in this country. So here we have from Andrew Perez, who is a political commentator and liberal strategist, freelance writer, nonprofit board leader at Fife House and CASPCA. Saying, breaking, at a virtual meeting of the Liberal Party Ontario caucus on Saturday morning, 50-plus Liberal MPs reach a consensus that Justin Trudeau must resign, CBC News is reporting. 51 out of 75. My math is not that great. That's more than half. That much I know. Ontario caucus MPs attended, so 51 out of 75 Ontario caucus MPs attended the Zoom meeting. Reports suggest that only a single Liberal MP, if that, spoke in favor of Mr. Trudeau staying on as Prime Minister. So of the more than half of the Ontario caucus MPs who showed up, 50 of them were not happy. Only one of that 51 potentially spoke up in favor of Justin Trudeau. The doors are closing on Mr. Trudeau. He must give the federal Liberal Party a fighting chance to take on Pierre Poilievre's dangerous agenda by resigning now and triggering an expedited leadership race. I do want to see that. I really want to see that. I'm not necessarily keen on who's going to win it, but I think it's very important to bring any sort of energy to the Liberal Party to do this. Now, some might be thinking, well, that's really close to the election to have an expedited leadership race like this close to a potential election. Well, if there's no early election called and there's an indication from the NDP, we'll get to the NDP's comments again, but I'm under the impression right now, my impression might change, that they won't vote for a vote of non-confidence so long as there's a leadership race. And the next official election is scheduled to be in October. So that does give you enough time. Why do I think that? Because Doug Ford became leader of the Ontario Conservative Party just months before the election in Ontario, and he won. So it is possible to energize the base, do all that sort of stuff before the election. I'm still not hopeful, and again, I'd rather the Liberals not win, but I really don't want the Conservatives to win. I'd much rather the NDP win, but they stand no chance, none whatsoever, zero, zilch. They'll be lucky to maintain party status. So if my choices are Liberal or Conservative, I'd rather the Liberals in. Anyway, let's get on to a comment, a brief comment from Justin Trudeau. So this is from CPAC. PM Justin Trudeau makes brief remarks on Parliament Hill after meeting with newly revamped cabinet. Today's cabinet shuffle came following a week of political developments precipitated by Chrystia Freeland's sudden resignation as finance minister on Monday.
Prime Minister, are you going to step down? Are you considering proroguing?
We just had an excellent cabinet meeting that was almost entirely focused on the Canada-US dynamic. We know how important it is for Canadians that we be there to protect not just the Canadian economy, but their jobs, the cost of living challenges they're facing that could get worse. We have a lot of work to do, and that's what we're focused on.
And then the rest is in French. I can tell he's a little bit rattled in this. His normal confidence isn't quite there. His arrogance isn't quite there. He slipped up on a few of his sentences, which isn't normal for him. And plus, he didn't come out and say strongly anything about, like, I'm going to be staying on or anything of that sort. So I'm thinking he's starting to get a bit rattled with this. And why would he be getting a bit rattled? Well, you have Liberal MPs that are publicly posting on Twitter and other social media platforms that he should resign. So this is Rob Oliphant, a name that the letter hack seemed to really like. Very Canadian. And he's the MP for Don Valley West. And if we scroll down, we don't need to read all the blah, blah, blah. Liberal propaganda in here. Just, I consider Justin Trudeau to be a friend. We were elected together in the small class of 2008. I've witnessed firsthand his capacity to gather, inspire, and motivate Canadians to dream bigger, to act with more kindness, and to do better. Is it bigger if I do that? Not really. With profound thankfulness and great respect, I joined the Don Valley West Federal Liberal Association in requesting the Prime Minister take appropriate steps to relinquish the leadership of the Liberal Party of Canada to a new leader elected through a robust open contest. Now, the thing about those open contests, they're not that open. You need to fit a very specific bill of requirements in order to be able to run for leadership. You have to have a lot of money to run for leadership, and you can be blocked from running for leadership if the party doesn't really think you're ideal for them. And the frustrating thing is that the next likely leader of the Liberal Party, as is right now with all the information we have, is most likely going to be Chrystia Freeland. And the thing is that she's not much more popular than Justin Trudeau outside of the actual Liberal establishment. Within the Liberal elites, she can be quite popular and people might like her. But if you look at the whole outside of, no, she won't help the Liberals win anything. So we have another Liberal MP here Chandra Are, I think is how you say the name, Member of Parliament, for, where? Oh, Neopan. Member of Parliament, Neopan. And again, I don't need to read all the other blah, blah, blah. So let's go down here. Christia's approach, polite yet firm, has demonstrated her capacity to stand up to even the most intimidating personalities, embodying the strength of an iron fist in a velvet glove. With all opposition parties united to vote on a motion of non-confidence, I believe it is time for you to step aside as leader of the Liberal caucus immediately. Christia's years of dedication to building and maintaining caucus relationships is something unparalleled, even by your closest advisors. Give her a unique ability to unite the party. I am confident the caucus will rally behind her. Under Christia's leadership, we can preserve your legacy and protect it from being dismantled by the current official opposition. So there is that. And then there is this. This is going to be a problem. So Luc Lebron is a editor at Press Progress, a progressive magazine. I still call them magazines. I don't know what I'm supposed to call them. Saying fake letter calling for Prime Minister's resignation has 50,000 views and keeps getting pushed into people's feeds by this website's algorithm. Tweet correcting fake letter has only 2,000 views. And so if we go down here, Mark Gerston, who is MP for Kingston, says this is fake, the obvious giveaway being that my check mark is gray, not blue. So you see here, means that this check mark here means that they're in the government, and it is gray here. But this is the tweet that had been going around with the blue check mark, saying that this was him. Oh, there we go. Seeing that this was him. So Mark, M-A-R-K, Gerresten. Esten. It looks the same to me. Like that can be tricky, but it is a blue check mark here. Gerresten. Gerre. See, I'm dyslexic, so sometimes I can have difficulties trying to determine if it is spelt the exact same. E-T. No, it looks like it's spelled the exact same, so I'm not entirely sure how that person was able to get that handle. Because normally there's a little trick, like lowercase I is made into an L or something to trick people into thinking that it's a different person. I'm just going to quickly pull this up on the other screen. Nope. If anyone is seeing where the difference is, let me know, because it would be disconcerting to think that somebody could take your exact handle somehow, like maybe there's a space after it. But you see, this is going to be one of the major problems with this platform going into the next election. I have no idea if what he's saying is true. He says this is fake, obvious giveaway, but did he just get a gray check mark in the meantime? Because again, I'm not entirely sure how you can have the exact same handle and name unless all this was a screen grab that somebody posted and it wasn't posted from this account. If that's the case, then absolutely that would be much easier to fake. December 21st at 3:52 p.m. and this was December 21st at 8:05 p.m. So I think this person was tweeting it out and it was just a screen grab. Okay, then that makes a little bit more sense. And yeah, see, again, but this is the problem, that this much thought and investigation will have to go into anything we see from our leaders going into this next election. You can't trust anything on this platform, which makes it so dangerous. Because I think a lot of people, like me, might have been like, I don't see the difference. But then you have to go back. Okay, this person tweeted it out with this screen grab here, which could absolutely have been fake. And Mark here having to say, nope, nope, that's the little mistake. So when this person decides to share this again, he knows to update the image. But that said, now this gets me wondering. Gray check mark. Blue check mark. Is this the real MP? So let's see what we can deduce together. So, link to the website. Yes, this is a link to the Liberal website. Member of Parliament working hard for you. About. Okay. We got an about. We got the main office of the thing, an email with .gc.ca, which is the tag for official government emails. News, updates. Okay, so yeah, that looks like the official website there. It's been on since 2014. Has 36.6K followers. Who's following? Who is he following? So we got those people. Justin Trudeau, Liberal Party. Okay. That checks out. And if we go back in the feed, so here he has longtime Trudeau loyalist. Chandra Ari says it's time. So he's just retweeting his own article saying that it's time for him to step down. This is the letter. But if we go down, not too long ago, so here we have participating in debate on privilege motion in House of Commons. Okay, so this looks like the actual Twitter account for this person. We should not have to do this much research to figure it out. It shouldn't be a thing, but we're going to have to, with information that you just see coming out from Twitter, because it is going to be so dangerous. The amount of misinformation, disinformation, purposely misleading information that will be out there come this next Canadian election. And it's going to be far worse than the last American election, because since then, Elon Musk has pretty much become part of the government of the United States, which has emboldened him even more. This type of garbage and investigation is just going to make things a nightmare. Makes it more difficult for me trying to find legit information to go off of. So again, whenever you see anything on Twitter, you're just going to have to be super careful and do research whenever you see something instead of just jumping to conclusions that this is what you think it is. But speaking of letters and stuff for Justin Trudeau to step down, we also have this problematic message out. The Toronto Police Association. It is the largest single association of its kind in Canada and represents approximately 8,000 civilians and uniform members. This is laughable. After 9 years of doing nothing, you pick the moment when your government is descending into chaos to placate us with proposals. What a joke. And they're replying to this economics false statement. I think, was there something else to that? No. Basically, a police association is supposed to be nonpartisan. They shouldn't be saying anything about an upcoming election. Like, that's just common sense there. They shouldn't be showing any political stripes with their statements sent out to the public, because for many reasons that can make the public feel really uncomfortable with the police, to learn that somehow they have a political bias, because then that might mean that maybe they have a political bias with how they dole out, enforcing the law, which is a problem right now. The thing is that they're not the only one. So here we have Durham Regional Police Association joins Toronto Police Association calling Justin Trudeau to resign. Our members have lost faith in Justin Trudeau's government. Do the right thing for the right reasons. Time to resign. Leave these critically important public safety issues to someone else. Yeah. Police associations of any sort should not be commenting on political races. That is just a big no-no right there. Right there. Bad. They're supposed to be nonpartisan organizations. Then we get into Pierre Poilievre. Well, of course, he has to send out a letter too. Poilievre writes a letter to the GG, Governor General, calling for House recall confidence vote after Singh declares he's ready to bring the Liberals down. Really? Really? This has about as much power and influence as when, all the Freedom Convoy people were up at Ottawa demanding that the Governor General fire Justin Trudeau. That's not how the government works. And somebody like Pierre Poilievre, who has been a career politician pretty much his entire life, should know that. In fact, he does know that. This is just for show. That's all he's doing. It's just for show. This has no actual prominence. This doesn't actually do anything. So Pierre Poilievre saying, I have written the Governor General confirming that Prime Minister has lost the confidence of the House and that Parliament must be recalled to hold a vote before the end of the year on triggering an axe the tax election. Oh my God, he can't go a single tweet, a single comment without without one of his stupid slogans being in it. But the thing is that repetitiveness that he does, it's actually a good tactic. Like for people who see through it, it's quite annoying and bothersome. But it does help to get it into the brains of people that this is what the election is about by constantly repeating the same thing over and over and over again. I am asking the NDP leader to match his actions to his words and likewise send a letter to Her Excellency asking for the same. Sign here to axe the tax election. Don't sign there. There's no point in it. I haven't read all of this, but let's just glance at it. I am writing today on a grave and urgent matter that requires immediate resolution. The Prime Minister has lost the confidence of the House of Commons and cannot continue to govern unless he resigns or wins a new election. Let me chronicle how we got here. Well, you see, it started way back when Stephen Harper was Prime Minister and you were Housing Minister. That's where a lot of what we're living through today started. That's where it started. Well, there were confidence votes that did not pass recently as December 9th, all pushed forward by the Conservative government. Everything has now changed. Since those votes, the leader of the NDP has added his name to the list of those who claim to have lost confidence in the Prime Minister to govern. He has said today that he would join me and the leader of the Bloc Québécois to vote to bring the government down and give Canadians a chance to vote for government who will work for them. Let's see. This means that all the recognized opposition parties who combine blah, blah, blah. Also, since the last confidence vote, the Prime Minister's new own Deputy Prime Minister has lost confidence. 18 of his MPs, so on and so forth. And yet the Prime Minister continues to cling desperately to power. This would be wrong at any time, but these are not normal times. Canada faces a serious potential crippling trade threat from the United States. We have a growing border crisis. More than 1,400 homeless encampments have overtaken Ontario alone. Well, you see, Pierre, if you're concerned about that, you need to be talking to Doug Ford. He's the reason why there's 1,400 homeless encampments in Ontario. And you missed a comma. It is Doug Ford's fault for that. True, some federal policies didn't help, may have exacerbated the situation, but that is Doug Ford you need to be talking to right now. A drug crisis has killed more than 47,000 Canadians Cite the source on that one, please. That's a really high number. A drug crisis that has killed more than... What time frame are we talking about here? Are you saying what, 47,000 since Trudeau was in power? Is that like over almost 8 years then? Or are we talking about a year, which would be ridiculous to think? What time frame? What are you citing here? Oh my God, that is just meant to scare people. That's all that is. Wow. To just say 47,000 Canadians have been killed in a drug crisis. Parameters, please. Where is this coming from? But he's not going to state where it's coming from, because if he did, either it would show he's lying or it would show that he's taking it kind of out of context. That maybe this is over a decade or something, which is still horrible, no doubt about it. But to just say it like this, where is this coming from? Food banks are overwhelmed with demand and their shelves are going empty. The chaos cannot continue. That is why I'm asking you and your authority, blah, 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 blah. It's very long-winded. The position of all opposition parties and a majority of the members of the House of Commons is clear. Only election immediate confidence vote can provide the constitutional certainty we need at this grave time. I seek your most urgent response in this matter. Okay, I am very curious where he got that stat. I'm going to do some Googling. 47,000 users in Canada. Let's see. Well, he put a comma in there. I'll put a comma in there. Okay, there we go. So this is as of 2016. Let's pop this in here. So report summary, and this is from the Government of Canada. This is an official source. There was a total of 49,105 apparent opioid toxicity deaths reported between January 2016 and June 2024. So far in 2024, January to June, most 84% of the accidental apparent opioid toxicity deaths in Canada occurred in British Columbia, Alberta, and Ontario. Do you know why that might be? Again, there is some federal responsibility here, but a lot of this has to do with the conditions of the premiers. What they've done, shutting down supervised consumption sites, making life unlivable, leading to a quality of life that makes people turn to self-medicating with drugs, to turn to drugs as their only escape from the hell they're living in. Again, this weighs heavily on provinces. Most accidental apparent opioid toxicity does occur among males and among individuals aged 30 to 39 so far in 2024. Of all the accidental apparent opioid toxicity deaths so far in 2024, 79 involved fentanyl. This percentage has increased 39% since 2016 when national surveillance began, but also appears to have stabilized in recent years. Of all accidental apparent opioid toxicity deaths so far in 2024, 82% involved opioids that were non-pharmaceutical. Of all accidental apparent opioid toxicity deaths so far in 2024, 65% also involved a stimulant. So again, just pulling out that number is scary, and this is horrifying, no doubt about it. But the way that Pierre Poilievre frames it doesn't help paint a picture of what the situation really is. Because it's a lot of the people who are unhoused, who are living with disabilities, that are turning to, again, drug use as a way to escape the horrendous living conditions they're in. This is something that both the federal and provincial governments need to tackle. And to blame all of this somehow on the federal government, it's misleading the population. It's misleading, how people think that these problems are solved. It's adding to the political illiteracy of this country. But here we have a bit of an article on this. I forgot if I wanted to watch the video on this or not, so let's start watching the video to see if it's something I wanted to watch.
From Ottawa, Rachel, a whole lot to unpack here, as it has been quite a tumultuous week there in the nation's capital.
Oh, and this is from CTV. Poilievre writes a letter to the Governor General calling for a House recall confidence vote.
So let's begin with the Leader of the Opposition, Pierre Poilievre, who we just heard from, now wants the Governor General to recall the House for a non-confidence vote. Could that happen? What could it take?
Yeah, Scott, another remarkable day here on Parliament Hill. So our indications are, I was in that press conference there with Mr. Poilievre, that he will imminently be writing to the Governor General making this request. Now, in terms of what happens from here is a big question mark. I would say we're kind of in unprecedented territory. So we will see. We've reached out to the Governor General's office about what her response to this request will be. But as you noted off the top there, Mr. Poilievre's assertion here is based on the rapidly unfolding series of events that have happened just today, really. Now that we have the NDP saying that they are ready to vote non-confidence in Justin Trudeau in 2025 being when the House was next supposed to sit. They wrapped up for the week, aren't supposed to be back until January 27th. And then Poilievre was noting, because there are now more than a dozen Liberal MPs who have expressed that they want Trudeau to go, he is reading that as they have lost confidence in him. When you add up all of those MPs, it's around 70%. So it'll be really interesting to see where we go from here in the next couple hours, what response we get from the Governor General, if this could be into a situation where they're all called together to talk about it. But typically, Scott, what needs to happen for the Governor General to get involved would have to be a loss of confidence vote in the House of Commons. We've heard some of these people express verbally that they think the Prime Minister should go or that they don't have confidence, but it's really that mechanism of casting a vote in the House that typically triggers this kind of constitutional question about a potential fall of the Parliament.
And Rachel, the other new development, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh now threatening to take down the government, but of course making this threat as Parliament is not sitting anymore. What mechanisms does he have here?
Not many. So I think what is really key for Canadians watching right now to understand is what Jagmeet Singh is saying is that should there be a chance in 2025 when Parliament resumes, that's kind of his positioning, his party would be ready to bring forward a motion of non-confidence. Does that mean if a different non-confidence motion came up from the Conservatives through a supply option, through a spending bill, would they vote for that? They're not clear, really not answering our questions on that at this point. Would this mean that he would be ready to go if the Governor General did heed Poilievre's call for non-confidence vote this year, in the next couple of days? That is an open question. So essentially what Poilievre is pushing for is trying to kind of call Singh on this. He was critical, Poilievre was, of NDP leader Jagmeet Singh saying he tore up his supply and confidence deal with the Liberals back in September and then going ahead and voting confidence with the Liberals pretty much at every chance they got during the fall sitting. So it's still a big question right now in terms of how soon or how serious Singh is about prompting the country into an early election and what mechanism they would be okay doing that with, because they have said in the past that they tore up the deal, they were ready for an election, but then kept this government alive. So he's saying now he's ready to vote non-confidence. We'll have to see how soon that could be and in what kind of form the NDP would be ready to make that move. So just kind of a caution, it's very chaotic here in Ottawa right now, as everyone is aware, but we aren't right yet on the precipice of an election.
Yeah, so I don't understand Jagmeet Singh's motivation to, rip up the agreement they had with the Liberal Party. What was the gain from it? What's the gain for threatening to bring down the government now when the NDP stands no chance of gaining seats? Like, what is attached to this? What is he hoping to gain? What's the point? What's the point? other than causing chaos and playing right into the hands of the Conservatives. But speaking of whimsical letters, Elizabeth May here was just commenting on Justin Trudeau just wrote a letter to Santa asking Pierre Poilievre to get his security clearance. The chance of Pierre Poilievre being able to pass it has the same odds as Santa being real. Again, this is the threat of an election right away with Pierre Poilievre not getting his security clearance. He could become prime minister without his security clearance. It would just be granted to him. But there's important reasons why he should be getting it.
It's not a matter of receiving top secret security clearance if you ask for it. And I think in a lot of our coverage, there's been that assumption. Why won't he ask for it? Or even worse, why won't he get it? The only thing that for me represents a concern about whatever may be in Mr. Poilievre's background is his own decision not to subject himself to the review required to receive top secret security clearance. Having gone through that process myself, I know it's not a matter of ticking a few boxes. They really want to know, I've phrased it this way before, are you blackmailable? So Mr. Poilievre could clear this up very easily. The only thing that raises doubts in my mind about whether he is in any way compromised, either by foreign interference or by something else, is his own refusal to go through the process. It's not...
Yeah. We could have a prime minister in that could be blackmailable, as she said, because he refuses to go through the clearance process, which would determine if that's the case. Ooh, it's not looking good. But let's actually get to the letter that Jagmeet Singh has posted to send and see exactly what it is he is saying in it. So Jagmeet Singh has tweeted out, Justin Trudeau failed in the biggest job a prime minister has, to work for the people, not the powerful. The NDP will vote to bring this government down and give Canadians a chance to vote for a government who will work for them. How is that for size in you guys? Is that bigger? That's not bigger. It should be fine like this, I think. So he writes, fellow Canadians, the Canadian dream is a good dream that gets you a home and a fridge full of groceries with enough left over to save for vacations, a country where healthcare is always there as soon as you need it. I believe every Canadian deserves that. The Trudeau Liberals say a lot of the right things, then they let people down again and again. Justin Trudeau failed in the biggest job a prime minister has, to work for the people, not the powerful, to focus on Canadians, not themselves. The Liberals don't deserve another chance. That's why the NDP will vote to bring this government down and give Canadians a chance to vote for the government who will work for them. The Conservatives won't exactly be working for us, but that's who will be voted for. Ugh. No matter who is leading the Liberal Party, this government's time is up. We will put forward a clear motion of non-confidence in the next sitting of the House of Commons. I called for Justin Trudeau to resign, and he should. He can't fix healthcare. He can't build homes you can afford. He can't lower your bills. I have always fought for people. I fought like hell to get dental care, free birth control, and diabetes medication. You got means-tested dental care through and 2 medications covered. As the NDP propping up the Liberals, that's all you could achieve? It's great for the people who can use this, no doubt about it, but that's not exactly worth bragging about. Because last time we had like the NDP propping up the Liberal government like this, we got our health care. This is all you've been able to achieve, and the Liberals take credit for it anyway? The next fight is a big one. Pierre Poilievre and Conservatives will give CEOs and big business anything they want to make callous cuts to pay for it. They will cut healthcare, childcare, housing, and people's pensions. Canadians can come together and build a country where we take a better care of each other. A country where we create jobs, stand up to the threats of Trump tariffs, and where everyone has a chance to succeed. It feels like that should be a comma, not a period. I'm being nitpicky here. I will be working hard to build a movement that can win the next election. Join me in this fight. So he's going to work hard to build a movement, he says. But the thing is that, as it gets pointed out by Ecos, a polling, somebody pointing out here, the only people voting for the NDP, so yeah, this is just 2 months different or something, is stagnant. And there's this, impacts of Freeland's resignation had zero change on the NDP. But that's the thing, is that generally speaking, there is zero change in the voting base. He hasn't grown the NDP at all since he's been in power. And now he's like, oh yeah, we're going to grow the movement. Now? You waited till now to do that? You couldn't have done that before, like years ago. You're just, oh, now we're going to grow the movement. No, the NDP will suffer the same fate as the Liberals. And I think it's actually going to be far worse for the NDP than the Liberals. I'm worried they won't even maintain party status after the next election. That's how bad it's going to be. He hasn't grown the party. He's done anything but grow the party. And he's just, his political sense, his political strategy has sucked. He's not good at this. He is a good person. I've met him. He is a pleasant, nice person. He sucks at the political game, and it shows. And he has failed the NDP. He has failed their base. And now failed the country because there's no viable option to the Conservatives. There's no one from the left pushing back to bring in those voters. They failed the working class. Usually the main part of the NDP base used to be the working class, yet more of them have been pulled over to the Conservatives because Pierre Poilievre has been appealing to them more, even though he will do everything to destroy the working class. Jagmeet Singh has failed at this. Complete and utterly failed. So there needs to be a second leadership race before the next election. Because if Jagmeet Singh is the one who is leader of the NDP when this happens, there's a strong chance they might not even maintain party status. Whereas there are a few members within the NDP, I think, could actually energize the base, get people excited about the election, give the people something to vote for. I don't believe the Liberals have that person at this time. There is nobody like that. But within the NDP, there are individuals like that. And one of them could take over that party and really appeal to the people who want a positive change. But that would require him putting his ego aside and doing what is right, which is very hard for people once they get up into leadership position. But just a reminder of what Jagmeet Singh used to be like and why he was voted in as the leader of the NDP to begin with. He had tweeted this out once upon a time. He saw a country wrecked by poverty, illness, and disease, so he led a revolution that uplifted the lives of millions. R.I.P. Fidel Castro. And that was November 26th of 2016. Where is this Jagmeet Singh? Where is he? Where is he coming out for the people and saying that, to lead a revolution, to uplift the lives of millions, because we need that in Canada right now. There are millions of people living with poverty, needing to use the food banks, thousands of people unhoused, tens of thousands more at the risk of being unhoused shortly. The quality of life has been bottoming out. We need that revolution. You're not the person to lead it, though. Okay, let's get to the main shot. Oh, no, not get to the main shot yet. There's a video from Rachel Gilmore on this that I also wanted to cover. So Rachel Gilmore, a wonderful independent journalist who does a good job of putting these into bite-sized segments, has a video. So let's see what she has to say. Hey, Canada, get ready for an election. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh just promised he'll vote to topple the government, and the Bloc Québécois and Conservative plan to do the same. Smells like an election. Let's talk about the how, the when, and why.
Hey Canada, get ready for a federal election, because NDP leader Jagmeet Singh just confirmed that his party is going to vote to bring down the government. Now, we could still avoid an early election if the Bloc Québec... Oh yeah, we're having an election. I'm a journalist who was in Canada's parliamentary press gallery for more than 7 years. So let me explain, one, how this works, how soon you can expect to be voting, and why the NDP might have actually done this. Basically, to stay in power, a party needs the support of the majority of the House of Commons. When a confidence vote happens, it basically means that they are voting on whether they do support this government. And if the result of that is that they do not, it usually triggers an election. Because traditionally, when they lose a confidence vote, the Prime Minister and his cabinet will resign, and they will go to the Governor General and ask them to dissolve Parliament. The Governor General then directs the Chief Electoral Officer to issue the writs of election. In normal human speak, that means the clock starts ticking and we're in an election campaign. And that can last from 37 to 51 days. Okay, so when can we expect Jagmeet Singh to force us to the polling booth? Well, he's gonna have to wait for the government to designate opposition days. And the House doesn't come back until the last week of January, so that's the soonest that could happen. I also think we can pretty safely bet that the NDP still won't vote in favor of a conservative confidence motion, because they have explicitly said they wouldn't do that. But let's say the NDP gets the first opposition day and it's on the 29th. If the government falls that day and then the Prime Minister goes to the Governor General that day, who then issues the writ that day, we could have a new Prime Minister well before spring. And while the NDP didn't specify just how soon they want to bring forward their motion, I can confirm that they want to do it as soon as they can. Now, why are they doing this now? Because the Conservatives are heavily leading in the polls right now, so it looks like the NDP is basically trading in a slightly ideologically closer government for one that would be much more diametrically opposed to them. But we do know the last week in politics had the NDP super unimpressed with the Liberals, saying stuff like they're more concerned with fighting each other than fighting for Canadians. I would also speculate that because there's all this talk about Trudeau being about to resign, the NDP don't want to give the Liberals the chance to build momentum behind another candidate. Because I would bet that they're putting their money on the fact that that lack of momentum could benefit them. But I think we all know who the upcoming election is most likely to benefit. I also saw speculation that Singh might be trying to pressure Trudeau to resign and would do an about-face if they get a different...
Let's go down.
Place. But Singh's letter explicitly if they get a different leader in place. But Singh's letter explicitly says, quote, no matter who is leading the Liberal Party, this government's time is up. So I think that's just kind of people hoping that maybe there's still a chance we won't have an early election. Sorry to say, guys, it's almost definitely happening. The one thing I can see our politics almost being stupid enough to do that would drag this out would be if the NDP refused to vote for a Conservative non-confidence motion, but the Conservatives want their motion to be the one to topple the government, so they won't vote for the NDP one. Stupider things have happened, and if you watch 30 seconds of question period, you'll understand how. Lastly, Trudeau could prorogue Parliament, which basically hits a reset button on the parliamentary agenda. So Trudeau could use this to ensure that Parliament doesn't sit until weeks or even months later than originally planned. But given all the major opposition parties have said they want to topple his government, this would be a pretty controversial move. At the end of the day, we'd still all be going to the polls in October regardless, so we'll see if this makes a big difference. But yeah, Merry Christmas everyone, and a Happy New Year. What do you think of all this? Face if they get a different leader in.
Yeah, I'm not optimistic about the next election here in Canada. Oh, it's just like the only thing we can hope for in prolonging this is the NDP and the Conservatives acting like children. Which, isn't a stretch. It happens. But to be like, I'm not going to vote for yours. I'm not going to vote for yours. Like, literally, we're hoping that they will be childish like that. Because I want this delayed as long as possible because Pierre Poilievre is going to win. It's not a matter of if. He will. And he's going to win with a massive majority. Unless, like I said, we get somebody in top of the NDP who can really just grip and energize that base and pull back all the populist people that maybe have gone over to Pierre Poilievre. Somebody who can really give the people something to vote for. Get people excited about something. But with Jagmeet Singh as leader of the NDP, that's not going to happen. This has just been bad political maneuvering on the NDP's part, horrendous political maneuvering on the Liberals' part. And, say what you will about Pierre Poilievre and his stupid slogans and how repetitive it is, he's playing the game. And he has been for years. He has been building to this moment for years. And the NDP has squandered all of that time doing nothing other than getting a slightly means-tested dental care and a couple of drugs covered. That's it. But Pierre Poilievre has been working towards this for years. Oh, so frustrating. So frustrating that the two non-right-wing parties are so into themselves that they can't see, what is going on. So frustrating. Let's check the sandbox, and then I have just a teeny bit more to cover with federal politics. More about Pierre Poilievre. Let's see. Scroll up. Darn it, I am hungry. I should have eaten something before this, but I started earlier thinking I'm going to be done earlier so that I can have dinner at a semi-decent time, so. Hello, Hunger Games 1989. Hello, Genie Bottle. Most heads of the state are delusional. They all think they're the GOAT. Angela W. Hi all. Been a while catching Sandy live. Welcome back. Let's see. Soul Life, I've been saying happy holidays in response to people telling me Merry Christmas, and so far nobody has said anything. I say happy Christmas or Merry Holidays. No. Yeah. Happy Christmas, Merry Holidays. Jeannie Baldwin, I use happy solstice or seasonal blessings, but do give presents to friends under the guise of Xmas, but just be conforming. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed the solstice happens because that means the nights are now starting to get shorter, and I like the longer nights. I do. Especially with my sleeping schedule all over the place. I love the longer nights. Like, I hate being up so late at night that you can start seeing the sun come up. I hate that. And the way my sleeping schedule has been turning, it might happen where, in the summer, I'm still up till 4 in the morning, and at that point, you can start seeing the sun come up, and it's 4:30, 5 o'clock, yeah. True Democratic North, the only way for the NDP to get things done is with Trudeau. Well, they're definitely not going to get anything done with the Conservative Party in. For him to step down is useless. Thinking it's useless for Justin Trudeau to step down? That party is not going to win with Justin Trudeau as head of the party. In fact, they are probably not going to win even without him as head of the party, because people just tend to get tired of the same party over a period of time. And so they just vote for the others because they want something new, when really all they do is offer a lot of the same. Let's see. Laura Malcolm, ugh, please do not, Freeland. It's probably... I have a strong suspicion it will be her if there's a leadership race. Because it's basically going to be a match between her and Justin Trudeau, and people are already setting themselves in certain camps. And so if you want to be potentially a third option, you'd be setting yourself up for a lot of difficulties within the party when it comes to just party politics, like the inner politics of the workings of it. Bad Lefty, can we just make Sarah Jama the leader for life? Yeah, let's make her dictator of Canada. Wouldn't mind, I wouldn't mind. Hello, John Martinez. Kamala lost for a lot of reasons, mainly due to a lot of sexist men who can't stand the thought of having a female president. Those are the same who voted against their best interests. The true Democratic North, Justin Trudeau is the most left-leaning liberal that you can have. Well, if that's the case, then the Liberal Party isn't that left. Because they're anti-worker, anti-union. They just forced the postal workers back to work from their strike. When it comes to people living with disabilities, they are horrendous with their policies. Like the reality of MAID being more accessible to people than a dignity of life says a lot for people living with disabilities. There's the housing issue and the fact that they haven't done anything with that. There's their new stance on immigration, blaming them for the housing crisis and saying they have to put a cap on it because, oh, our bad, we let too many of those immigrants in. The Liberal Party isn't as left-leaning, as a lot of people like to think. There's, taking Indigenous peoples to court over and over again, even after the court has ruled in favor of Indigenous peoples when it comes to clean drinking water or, compensation for residential schools or medical neglect, and how the Liberal government will pay hundreds of millions of dollars to appeal those cases. They're not as liberal as people seem to think they are. Like, that's the thing that gets me when I see the little fighting on Twitter about, like, some people who are very devout to Trudeau saying, like, whenever I ask people to name one policy that you disagree with, they come up with nothing. And they're usually talking about conservatives because conservatives don't know policy, hence why they're voting for conservatives. If they knew anything about policy, they wouldn't be voting for conservatives. But they tend not to acknowledge the people who are on the left, when we actually say, here are the policies that have upset us about Justin Trudeau. There's not much engagement with those people. C3339409, just stopping by with a friendly hello, and I love your content. Why, thank you. Hello, Mozart with the sandwiches and Santa. Okay. Let's see. Let's see, something related to this. Ah, got something in my eye suddenly. Ah, that's annoying. Laura Malcolm, gotta run. Lovely seeing you all. Have a great Xmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Festivus, etc. Thanks. Well, nice seeing you. And thanking the mods as well. Why, thank you, mods, too. John Martinez, LOL. President Musk got under Trump's skin. He had to do damage control and proclaim he was the leader when we all know otherwise. Shake my head. Hello, mini doctors. You are watching reruns of Man in the Suitcase. I know nothing of this. Nothing. Let's see. Let's skip down. Because I don't want to spend too much time here yet. I'm sure this is very engaging, watching me scroll through the sandbox. Bad Lefty, they really should force him through a background check. I think it should be like obligatory that they have to pass, that anyone who wants to be prime minister has to pass a security check, and if they can't, then that's disqualifying. Like, that's just, to me, that's common sense, and the conservatives are all about common sense. So it'd only be common sense that you must be able to pass security clearance before you can be prime minister. Solar Jugmeat will definitely lead the NDP in the next election. Yeah, he will. Unfortunately. Whereas, yeah, a lot of them will get their pension if they get voted in again come the next election. Well, welcome to the sandbox, Russ. I don't know if I've seen you around before. I don't care about them getting their pensions or not, because the person who loves to bring up that up the most is Pierre Poilievre, and he got his pension at 34. So for him to whine and complain that, you know, Jagmeet Singh is trying to delay things so that he can get his pension is really rich coming from him. And I mean rich, like quite literally, he's rich. So Life, why is Jagmeet bad? It's not so much that he's bad, but he's not good. Like, he hasn't done anything particularly good. And just his political strategy when it comes to having the alliance with the Liberal Party, when he chose to tore it up, the fact that he tore it up over nothing, like there was no reason to it. Yeah, it's more he hasn't really done anything good. Bad Lefty, I seen Rachel Gilmore speaking in front of Canadian government. It was pretty damn based. Yeah, she's amazing. Let's see. Genie Bottle. The poor have been paying out all they get paid, while the rich pay for little as possible and maintain wealth. Time for reversal of change. And I'm down at the bottom. Angela W. Cat hair. Was there cat hair? Oh, potentially that is what hit my eyeball. Let's see. Kara, not sure I've seen you in the sandbox before. Welcome. The problem is his inaction. Talking about Jagmeet Singh? I don't know who you're talking about. That's who I'm guessing. Okay. Why don't we get a little bit more into it? More Pierre Poilievre, the Prime Minister in waiting. I wish that was sarcasm. Anyway. So Andrew Perez tweeted this out. It's really disgusting to see the misogyny Pierre Poilievre hurls toward talented female journalist Carolyn Silone. I don't know how to say her name. In this interview clip simply for doing her job. Wake Up Canada, this man has a consistent 20 to 25 point lead in public opinion polling. We can't allow PP to win a sweeping majority and reshape Canada in ways that won't be easy to reverse. Well, let's see how he is talking to her.
These programs, well, the pharmacare program hasn't given out a single jar of medication, a single pill. The so-called dental care program, according to the government's own numbers, has not helped 97% of people.
Well,
they have
no,
a food
1
program.
million Canadians, more than 1 million Canadians have access to that program, have received coverage to that program. 89% of dentists in this country, according to government numbers, 89% of dentists in this country have signed up for the dental care program. Would a conservative government...
So here he's saying, oh, according to government numbers, you're saying 1 million people have got it according to government numbers, with this dumbass smirk on his face. Oh, you dear little thing, thinking that government numbers are accurate when she says that 1 million people. But, you know, he said 97% of people haven't gotten the dental program. And she said 1 million people have gotten the dental program, and so he's condescending towards her because she said the million. Okay, I'm not great at math. There's about 40 million people in Canada. What would 1 million of 40 million be? They're both right. But he's being condescending towards her for saying the positive number as opposed to him saying the negative number.
Gut those programs? Would a conservative government cut the dental care program? Can you tell the 1 million Canadians who are right now receiving coverage under that plan whether or not they will continue to have coverage under a conservative government?
So first of all, you've revealed your own bias in simply accepting government propaganda.
The same propaganda he was just using the reverse of. And to say that, you know, you're revealing your biases for accepting government propaganda, well, yeah, the media should be listening to government numbers. There should be some trust in the government still. The government that he wants to be. So when he becomes the government, should we just never trust the government numbers? Like, he constantly condescends towards the office that he wants to inhabit.
We don't know how many people have actually benefited from it.
Is that just because you say so, sir? Is that just because you say so? What evidence or data do you have that we cannot trust those numbers?
Oh, where do you want me to start? You could start with Monday. Were you awake on Monday? Their deficit was 55% bigger than they said.
Oh, let's start talking about why you shouldn't. I'll just change the subject completely. Were you awake on Monday? Again, yeah, he's being a condescending asshole towards her, no doubt about it. And this is not uncommon for him in all of his interactions with women journalists. He has this same tone, the same, patting them on the head like, yeah, you're just doing whatever you're told, dearie, type attitude. It's disgusting.
8 months ago. So we can't trust what they say on financial numbers. Their carbon tax was not supposed to go above 11 cents.
So he's like, how dare you trust the numbers that I'm also inadvertently quoting? So there was also this clip that came around. I haven't actually watched it yet, so we're going to watch it together. So, this is David Boy. I don't know how to say that name. Political comms and messaging enthusiast. But it's the clip I'm more interested in. Saying Pierre Poilievre assures he's going to defund the CBC very quick, but not Radio-Canada.
We will proudly honor and remember our history and build upon its solid foundation.
Well, I mean, they've already done that with our passports, taking out the history and inserting pages that look like they come from a generic IKEA coloring book they'd hand out for free for your kids. So
Right-wingers are such whiny little bitches. My God. There was a change to the passport book and the image that's on it, and they can't stop whining about it. How dare they change this piece of Canadian history, blah, 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 on and on and on. And yet, if they were in power, they would have done the exact same thing. They would have changed it. Look at Doug Ford. He changed license plates in Canada as soon as he could, just because, to stupid license plates you couldn't even see in the dark. I kid you not. He paid millions of dollars for license plates you couldn't see in the dark. But they are still hung up over how dare they change the image on the passport. What the fuck does that matter? Whose life is being harmed by a different picture on the passport booklet? What does it matter at all? It is a big nothing. It's a nothing. Oh.
A picture of Justin Trudeau swimming as a boy at Harrington Lake.
Oh, don't trigger CBC now, Pierre. They're going to have a full-on hour-long fact-check program on that statement saying it's not him. Maybe it looks like him, but it's not him.
Well, CBC, they'll have lots of time to do their fact-checking after I defund the CBC following the next election. So good luck with that.
Let me ask you about CBC, because it is one of the
Yeah, so Pierre Poilievre still saying that he's going to defund the CBC. And I believe that the CBC should be government funded because news organizations are struggling and there should be one that can still maintain investigative resources and stuff. I'm not against the CBC being publicly funded. There's not a problem with that in of itself. And it's been publicly funded when the Conservatives were in power too. They do lean establishment bias, and I have criticized how they cover certain subjects plenty of times, but it doesn't mean they should be defunded. Like, we need to have a news organization that isn't funded by corporations and millionaires like a lot of the other ones tend to be. By private interests. There should be at least one that is funded by the government for the public's interest.
The biggest applause lines at any of your rallies.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. Back when you were still running for leader, it was that way. Since you've become leader, people go crazy when you say that. And not saying don't do it. They want it done now. I keep getting asked, do you really think he's going to do it? And I say,
yes, I am going to do it.
Okay, then tell us. How quick?
Very quick.
So
very quick.
That doesn't mean you're shutting them down, right?
I'm going to defund CBC. That's my commitment. I said my commitment.
But don't you dare say defund the police. Sorry.
Commitment has been the same since I first said it at my very first leadership rally in Regina. I said, we will defund the CBC to save $1 billion. That was my commitment then. It's my commitment now. And I will. But
it's English side only, right? Correct?
Yeah, look, Radio-Canada, the first principle is this. The government should only do what people can't do for themselves. Media can support itself.
The government should only do what people can't do for themselves. Huh. So, like, people living on disabilities should absolutely get enough money to live a dignified life. You know, people who can't do their own health care should be able to have access to full health care. Yeah, the government should be providing that sort of thing. I don't think that's what he means.
In the English language in the private sector, because there is overwhelmingly a big enough market, Canadians can get English language media in abundance, more than they could ever consume. That is not true in the French language.
So why does it need to go private if we can already get all this abundant news coverage in English? But, you know, those French, yeah, they need help. We'll still fund the French one because nobody listens to that.
If there were no supports, then there wouldn't be any coverage in French for a lot of communities. So that's the only reason why I believe that it should be treated differently. But at the end of the day, we're going to save $1 billion, defund the CBC, and let the media make money by winning eyeballs and earlobes like it should be in a free country.
That's not how the media is supposed to work. The media isn't supposed to be driven by clicks. That's where you get into a lot of problem in a lot of these biased stories and stuff, is when, you know, the media has to fight for attention and salacious stories and things of that sort. And then a lot of the, you know, dry, bland stories that people need to know about never get heard. Because it shouldn't be about just getting clicks. It shouldn't be about, oh, well, if they can't get eyeballs on the news, then it's their fault and they should fail. That's not how that works when it comes to news. It shouldn't be driven like that at all. It is so frustrating that people buy into this and they don't realize what he's threatening to take away until it's too late. And once it is sold off and become privatized, it's very, very hard to reverse that damage. I'm going to get into a couple stories that might not seem related to what I'm talking about right now. Well, it's a story, a couple articles, a story that might not seem related to what we're talking about right now. It is, but also content warning. Let's see. Do I have a banner? I take this out. Let's see. I'm going to set this up. Where is that one? Okay. Nope, not that one. There we go. Banner. Content warning. Let's see. You see, I should have thought of this ahead of time because I always struggle when I'm trying to think of like, what's a few words to describe this that I can put in this about a gruesome murder. Do I just say gruesome murder? No, that doesn't. How about I just say it because it's probably easier than me putting up the content warnings that I don't know how to word properly. So yeah, content warning going into this next story. It's talking about a gruesome murder, and the person who committed this gruesome murder is a trans woman, or as you will see by some of the coverage, people saying that she is claiming to be trans to be transferred to a female prison. So there will be some misgendering going on, and kind of talking about a gruesome murder as well. So this is from Global News. Sadistic Quebec killer convicted of triple family murder gets life in prison.
Sylvie Gertin emerges from the courtroom feeling a weight off her shoulders.
On va pouvoir être capable
will finally be able to sleep, she says. That's because Lavana Balouz has been found guilty of murdering Gertin's daughter, Cynthia Bussière, and her 2 grandchildren, 2-year-old Zach and 5-year-old Eliam, on the night of September 24th, 2022.
The accused stabbed his partner, and afterwards he killed his 2 sons with a pillow.
Lavana Balouz was a man named Mohammed Al-Balouz at the time of the crime. She made the unusual choice to defend herself throughout the month-long trial. Balouz mounted no defense, but did cross-examine witnesses. She wore makeup, long hair, and did not show much emotion as the verdict was rendered. It was a circus, said Gertin, wondering why Balouz was allowed to defend herself in the face of such serious charges. The Crown said Balouz stabbed his spouse 23 times before plotting the death of the 2 children, then attempting suicide by drinking windshield washer fluid. In her closing arguments, the defendant tried to convince the jury it was Bussière who killed the children, then tried to kill Balouz. The jury did not buy it.
Manipulateur, narcissique.
Gertin said she never liked the defendant, who she described as an aggressive, narcissistic manipulator who isolated Cynthia Bussière from the rest of her family. She called her daughter a gentle person who looked afraid in security footage shown to the court. Gertin was particularly outraged when Balouz told the jury, "I'm just a woman, a mother."
He
knows nothing about being a mother, she said. The conviction carries an automatic sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole for 25 years. Gertin said it was excruciating to learn about how her daughter died fighting for her life. Sylvie Gertin has become an advocate for women experiencing domestic abuse and said she'll raise her voice even louder following the verdict. If you're in a bad situation, her advice is to just leave without saying a word to your partner and call a hotline like SOS Violence Conjugale. There will always be someone there to listen.
Okay, so here, if we go down, we can see the related woman found guilty of murdering her spouse. Kids aged 5 and 2. A Quebec Superior Court judge described the triple murder Friday as sadistic and remorseless as he handed down a sentence of life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. On Monday, a jury convicted Mohammed Al-Baziroz, I think I said that wrong, who now identifies as a woman and goes by the first name Lavana, of the 2022 murders, Cynthia Bussière and 2 sons, 5-year-old. Now, this is, it can be a bit, what do people think? Is this real? I don't know, because here we have the evidence show that the accused shows no remorse, no empathy. The alias is deeply, or the person is deeply narcissistic person, the judge told the court, adding the killer's manipulative personality makes it impossible to envisage medium to long-term rehabilitation and mitigation to the risk of recidivism. Is it possible that this particular person is claiming to be transgender to be moved into a female prison? Yes. It's absolutely possible. Somebody with a narcissistic personality can absolutely do that. There are procedures put in place. It's not just somebody claiming to be transgender and suddenly everyone, when it comes to correctional services and stuff like that, there has to be actual counseling and stuff. It's the same like if somebody wants to go through a transition, they can't just walk into a clinic and get all the treatments, the hormone therapy, everything they want in order to transition. There is a certain set of procedures that you have to go through before that happens. But yes, it is entirely possible that this one particular person is being misleading in order to be put into a female prison, which would be horrible. But also, everyone who's in the prison, regardless of the genders of the prisons and stuff, they should be safe. You know, if this person is just there because they don't want to run the risk of being in a male prison, they should be safe in a male prison. The woman in the female correctional facility should be safe from individuals. Like, this is also, if it is just as a way to be safe or to maybe find more victims, which a lot of the right wing would assume that is the actual cause as opposed to wanting to avoid the treatment that they would receive in a male prison. These systems should be safe for people. People shouldn't come out of prison more damaged and broken than when they went in. They should be finding areas to be rehabilitated so that when they come out, they can come back into society a better person. And there is a lot of uproar because this person has requested to be sent to a female facility. And this is what the big deal is about that Pierre Poilievre we'll get into. But before we get to that, let's just take a note here from CBC News. So they're sentenced to life in prison. And we go down here. Lavana has been sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole. So far, the media is doing their best. So the assumption is somebody claiming to be transgender is to accept that. Just accept this, what this person is saying until proven otherwise, which, yeah, do that. Accept the person saying that they're transgender until it's proven otherwise, because, it's one of those things. People don't just fake being transgender. That's not a common thing. And it's kind of like when people say, well, what about all those women who report false rapes and all that sort of stuff? When statistically speaking, that's minuscule compared to the amount of women who report sex crimes that are victims of sex crimes. And so we have this one person who maybe not faking it, but just play it safe. They say they're transgender, treat the person, okay? She, her pronouns, this is her name, fine. When it comes to coverage of the story, what does that matter, really? What does it matter? It doesn't change the circumstance of, what happened to that family. It doesn't change the circumstance that this person was convicted of murdering them. Like it doesn't change the overall picture of what this is. This person is still going to jail, still being imprisoned, being held accountable for their crimes. Like the media is just like, okay, yeah, so they say they're a woman, so we're treating it as such until otherwise. But here's the thing. So the person filed a motion requesting to be sent to a Joliette institution for women in case she was convicted. However, the court said in its decision on Friday that it is up to the Correctional Service of Canada to determine where she will serve her sentence. Lawyer Alexandra Paquette, who specializes in prison law, said that in general, incarcerated people are detained in the detention center of their choice, but exceptions can be made to ensure the safety and health of the rest of the prison population. In other words, there are procedures already in place, and in general, incarcerated people are detained in the detention center of their choice. So this isn't, this isn't just an outlier thing. This is already a procedure in place. So, for example, if someone is charged with a crime related to intimate partner violence against a woman, that context could qualify as a reason to refuse a transfer request, Paquette said. However, the decisions are made on a case-by-case basis. Paquette noted that she has a hard time explaining how the person would not be transferred to a women's facility knowing that she is already staying in a woman's prison. So she was asking to be sent to a woman's prison if she was convicted. But the thing is she is already in a woman's prison. So it's not like she is asking to be transferred from a male prison to a female prison. This has already been determined by the procedures that she should be in the women's prison. That's already done. But of course, when you get stories like this, which is a singular story that, again, this doesn't need national attention. This isn't something that is happening across the board. the amount of trans women in prison is a teeny tiny amount compared to the overall population. This shouldn't be concern of any politician. So, Pierre Poilievre tweeted out, surreal. A man who killed his wife and 2 sons now claims he is a woman to go to a female prison. I can't believe I have to say this, but when I'm PM, there will be no male prisoners in female jails, period. And this was tweeted out yesterday. Pierre Poilievre leaning hard into that culture war to distract from anything other than the fact that he's not getting his security clearance, that he's not actually offering any policy. All he's offering are slogans to hide the fact that he has connections to right-wing organizations, that, you know, there's been proof of interference with the leadership race that he was involved with from India, like nothing of substance, but he wants to single out this one case, and use it as a blanket reason why everyone else should have to also then live by a certain set of rules from this one case. Because already there are trans women in women's prisons and it's never been an issue. But Pierre Poilievre wants to make it an issue. And the reason why he can easily make this one an issue is it was a horrific story. The person murdered their wife and 2 children in a horrific way. It is a horrific story. So this sensationalizes it even much and be like, look how evil this person is. Obviously, this person is just a man trying to get into a female prison so that he can continue to be a horrible person and murder others and mistreat women, when that's for almost all trans women, they're in women's prisons because they are women. And to put them in male prisons would be so dangerous to them, to their physical well-being. They would be assaulted in every way possible, targeted, harassed. But there's never any concern about that. There's never any concern about putting trans women into male prisons and what would happen to them. Only the hypothetical single trans woman, which they claim is just a man trying to infiltrate a female prison, and the harm that person would cause. That's not the problem. The problem is any harm coming from individuals within prisons towards each other. That shouldn't be happening. But also, they totally dismiss and they don't care about the harm that would happen to all trans women that would then be forced to be put into male prisons. They don't care. And this is just transphobic in of itself, because he's basically saying, you know, anyone claiming to be a trans woman is obviously just a man trying to fake it. This is just pure transphobia coming from the future prime minister of this country. It is horrifying that this right-wing culture war and the victims of this right-wing culture war are already amongst the most vulnerable people in this country. And he is just amplifying it and making life so much more scary and difficult for people who he targets with this. You shouldn't have a prime minister commenting, or a future prime minister, or any politician really, commenting on a specific criminal case when that isn't a trend of anything. It's disgusting that he's using this one case as a way to justify forcing trans women into male prisons. Absolutely disgusting. Okay, back to the sandbox, and then we'll get on to some other stories. Oh. Let's see. Okay, I think I said seen those. Jeannie Bottle, I'm in the UK and I'm a Green voter. I live in a city that may go green in next election after getting one last time in one section. Well, hopefully. Bad Lefty, the Irish housing crisis has also led a small but very loud minority of right-wing freaks to blame our immigrants and refugee communities here also. Let's see. Jakara, I'm not sure I'm saying your name right. Yes, Jugmeat, and I had the pleasure of meeting you at the Amnesty International table at Pride in KW. Believe, big fan. Oh, yes, I remember somebody coming by and saying hi. Nice to meet you. Angela W., he used government numbers for their drug deaths. Very true, he did. He was fine using those government numbers without saying the context of those government numbers. Chikara, you know he just calls servers sweetheart. Oh, yeah. Ugh. Yeah, he probably does. Ugh. Hello, Christy Z. Is it Christy Z or Christy Z? Matthew the Celt, just how far left of the box, though? Riddle me that. Just how far left of the box? I'm pretty far left. So Life allows them to yell conservative by conserving the passports, but without addressing anything meaningful for the people. Same song and dance, yeah. Bad Lefty, ew, he made Regina sound icky too. Well, it's easy to make Regina sound icky. Chrissy said, "Z, the face says he's wearing nipple clamps right now." Ugh, no, why? Ah, get that image out of my head. Don't you do that. I don't need that image in my head. Oh, need to like pour bleach down my ear holes to rinse my brain out. So life work requirements for disability is the most evilish brain dead take. MIDI doctors. The global fast revolution is a wave of stupid weapons are going to have wade through. Not sure I read that in the proper inflections. Hello, FG. Hello, Monop. I forget. Am I saying your name right? I think you've corrected me before. Let's see. Hello, John Davis. Holy crap. Hi, everybody. I didn't know there was going to be a live stream today. There's a live stream today. There will be a live stream on Wednesday, also known as Christmas. Hunger Games, 1989. Sandy is hilarious. I have laughed a couple times listening to her last story about Poopy Head. Why, thank you. Thing is that without me having like a live studio audience, I have a hard time knowing when my humor is landing, and this is just me. Like, it's not trying to be funny. It's me. This is how I talk. It's just me. Let's see. Hunger Games 1989. So this person was for sure transgender. Just want to make sure. Yeah, that's the thing, is that they're throwing a lot of shade and suspicion on this, and what it does is just make the whole, like, all of it seem shady and suspicious when you just single out this one story that maybe not. When we all know the vast, almost all the cases, when somebody claims they're transgender, it's because they're transgender. It's frustrating that they use this one example to amplify it like that, just for their own right-wing culture war political gain. Hello, Geodragon. Ooh, you came in during a really rough story. Sorry about that. Angela W. Is it possible her personality was messed up because she was trans? That's one theory on Ted Kaczynski. It's possible. But it wouldn't have done anything, I think, to alter the outcome of the trial. Because I don't care how messed up a personality is, there's no justification for that type of crime. Bad lefty, indeed, but sadly prisoners are still seen as less than human, hence they get away with doing to prisoners what you could never get away with doing to someone on the outside. Yeah, if you watch Democracy Now!, I do. Horrific story coming out of Democracy Now! About female prisoners and what was happening to them. And the thing is that it's not an outlier. It's just the one we've heard about, and the one we've heard about involves hundreds. It's horrific. Absolutely horrific. Genie bottle, people who kill, harm kids are not safe from harm in prison. Male, female does not matter. There are codes in jail. I got a 100, Sandy, from Bad Lefty, but I'm not entirely sure for which point. And Angela W. saying, by the way, I'm not excusing the murders. I'm just saying it could be a factor. It could be, yeah. Like what it does to people to be transgender but keep closeted, and it's there's a reason why the suicide rates are so high. Jakara saying it's more likely that mental health is a factor due to shame, perhaps cultural or religiously imposed onto them, and overall transphobia that's rife across Canada. Could be. And the reality is, no matter what their life circumstances up to that point, I feel no sympathy for them because they are a horrible, horrible, evil person. Let's see. It jumped. Where are we? Where are we? Jakara, he just wants to continue to divide people through culture wars and spread bigotry so that people don't have time to gain class consciousness and be part of the class war. Talking about Pierre Poilievre's tweet. Yeah. That's all that's about. Geodragon, the whole case makes me think about why would there ever be an issue with trans men or women being in the prison of their chosen gender. The only issue I see are mainly bullying and the issues already present related to the lack of privacy. And Geodragon also saying, I'm trying to make devil's advocate argument in order to anticipate stupid right-wing bulls. B-Cat saying, if we saw humanity in inmates, we might start seeing it in everyone. Christie's Z with a whole bunch of laughing emojis. I'm not entirely sure what for. Also saying that you like this blue. Why, thank you. B-Cat, you need a squeegee for your brain. Yeah. Bad lefty. The one raised eyebrow also helps Sandy. I can't do the two. Like, you know how Sam Cedar does the two that go up like that? I can only do the one. But I don't think he can do one. And I can only do one side. I can't. For some reason, it's only one side. It's not the other. People look at me weird as I'm trying to... No, it's just the one side. I can only do the one side. Let's see. Okay. Got my crispy curls in today. So I got this, and what else do I have? This. Let's do this one first. Today in Zionism. Yeah, pretty much. Today in Zionism Canada. That's a segue into a story. Yes, Canada has a lot of Zionists within the parties, within the federal government, provincial governments, all governments, really. The most outspoken Zionist I know of is Anthony Horsefarter, who is a liberal. It wouldn't surprise me if based on this one issue only, he moves to conservative, because there's a little bit more of an issue being as outspokenly a Zionist as he is in the Liberal Party. You know, the fact that he gets upset when Justin Trudeau says, we will follow international law and arrest Benjamin Netanyahu should he come here. And it's not even Justin Trudeau staunchly saying, we will arrest him, absolutely. It's like, it was more him just humdumming, yeah, we'll follow international law. But Anthony Horsefarter, horribly upset by that. Like, how dare you? Yeah, how dare you follow international law? But he's not the only Zionist within the federal government. We also have Melissa Lantsman, or as a lot of people tend to say, like dollar store I totally messed up that joke because I can't remember her name from The Boys. Storm Chase. Is it Storm Chaser? God damn it. I totally messed it up. Is it Storm Chase? No, maybe? The Nazi chick from The Boys has a striking resemblance to her. And Melissa Lantsman, yeah, so she is member of parliament, queer, but also Zionist, saying, "This is appalling tweet is still up. You must have forgotten to retract it." What is this appalling statement? Because here we have Melanie Joly saying, appalled by the attack on the congregation in Beth. I don't know how to say that. Acts of anti-Semitism are completely unacceptable and have no place in our communities. We stand firmly with the Jewish community and call for thorough investigation to bring those responsible to justice. I'll get to that story. Well, I'll just get to that story. This is the story that she is talking about. Shots fired at Julius Elementary School in Toronto for third time this year. For the third time this year, shots were fired at the elementary school, a Jewish school in the city's north end, according to police. Early this morning, shortly after 2:30 a.m., we received reports of a shooting at the school. Paul McIntyre told reporters in front of the school Friday afternoon. Officers from 32 Division arrived on scene. Moments later, they discovered several bullet holes in front of the school. He went on to say the school was empty at the time of the shooting and that there have been no injuries reported to police in connection with the incident. McIntyre also said that 6 shots were fired at the school by the perpetrators. A vehicle pulled up, somebody exited the vehicle, fired at the building, and then they drove away, he said. This is the third time this year that people have taken shots at the all-girls institution, which serves around 250 students. It's very disturbing, the escalation that this is having. The fact that they've done this 3 times, still haven't been caught. So far, all the times that they've shot at the school is when the school wasn't open. Like, to me, this is somebody who has like some sort of personal connection to the school. That's the vibe that I get. But it could also just be somebody who is extremely anti-Semitic and targeting this one school because it's a convenient target for them. But, you know, having somebody shooting at a school, regardless of what school that is dangerous, to say the least. And it also, it's about, you know, bringing fear to the community, making people afraid. Because, again, so far, the schools weren't open at the time, but it is still disturbing. Like, if that's a school you go to, knowing that somebody has been shooting it up, and what's to say the next time it won't be when people are there. But here we have, a few days later, police announced the arrest of a 20-year-old man and a 17-year-old boy in connection with the incident. The incident followed on the heels of another shooting in May in which 2 suspects fired shots at a school around 5 a.m. on Saturday. I can tell you with the May shooting, we are making great strides in our investigation, McIntyre said. In October, the shootings, we've arrested 2 individuals who we believe were responsible for the shooting. We recovered a firearm, which we believe is responsible for that shooting. He said that the 2 people were arrested in connection with October shooting remain in custody. It was too early to say whether last night's shooting is connected to the previous 2. McIntyre said the investigation is ongoing and will be looking into every possible avenue. A local Jewish community safety group said students have been welcomed back to the school despite the overnight shooting. As we assess the implications of these latest incidents for the security of our community, we are updating Jewish institutions across the Greater Toronto Area about the situation and the critical need for vigilance. Read an update from Jewish Security Network, a group launched by United Jewish Appeal for Greater Toronto in response to reported spike in anti-Semitism since the onset of the Israel-Hamas conflict. It's not a two-sided conflict, just saying. In a statement, Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow says she was outraged by the incident and that she has been in touch with police about the latest shooting at the all-girls school. Enough is enough. Anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic attacks have no place in Toronto, Chow said. The latest shooting at the Baez, I don't know how to say that, elementary school is unacceptable. Once again, students, families, neighbors are waking up to safety concerns. And it should never happen. This should never happen. Any sort of anti-Semitic attacks are horrible, and they are on the rise. And, more needs to be done to push back against that sort of thing. But it doesn't help when you have people like Melissa Landsman quote tweeting. So this is a different school that was targeted. Acts of anti-Semitism are completely unacceptable and have no place at our community, says Melanie Jolie. We stand firmly with the community and call for a thorough investigation and bring those responsible. And so Melissa Landsman quote tweeted her saying, "This appalling tweet is still up. You must have forgotten to retract it." And this was Melanie Jolie saying, "Bombing a hospital is an unthinkable act, and there is no doubt doing so is absolutely illegal." What does that have anything to do with saying that an attack at a Montreal school is bad? She's also saying bombing a hospital is also bad and absolutely illegal. You can hold both of those true at the same time, because attacking in a school is bad. Actually, I want to see if I can get the article maybe on that specific school. News. There we go. So is this the right? Yeah, so Montreal Police Arson Unit is investigating a fire at the congregation of Beth, I don't know how to say that name, a synagogue located in the West Island, and the incident has drawn condemnation from Jewish community groups and elected officials. According to police, a 911 call was placed just before 3 a.m. on Wednesday about a fire that had just started at a place of worship near the corner of West Park and Roger Pillin Street in Dollard des Ormeaux. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that wrong. The fire was minor, and police officers put it out with a fire extinguisher shortly after arriving at the scene. Police say one incendiary device was found at the scene, and witnesses have told them they saw a suspect fleeing the scene. The damages at the synagogue, which serves as a community center, were minor, police said. There was some smoke, broken glass, and some damage to the front door. A window at the Federation CJA, Jewish advocacy group located across the street from the synagogue, was also broken. Police set up a security perimeter and officers sent to the area to patrol. It is the latest and growing list of violent incidences involving Jewish people and institutions in Montreal. It also mirrors what happened last year at the same two locations. In November 2023, Montreal Police's arson team was also set to deploy an intersection. Remnants of the Molotov cocktails were found at the synagogue, and the second small fire ignited at the back door of the Federation CJA building on Rogers across the street from the synagogue. That same week, a Jewish school in the city was shot at twice in 4 days. Let's see. Yeah, so this is not an isolated incident. And yes, these types of attacks are absolutely on the rise when it comes to targeting Jewish schools, Jewish synagogues, things of that sort. And it is horrible that this has been happening. And this is why I get a little bit worried. You know, a lot of people, when it comes to the Zionism and talking about that and what Israel is doing to the Palestinians, in a way, it's almost giving license to people who are already anti-Semitic to lean into it more, which is just horrifying. And these types of things should not be happening. You know, setting a fire, fortunately, there was no severe damage, but that is just lucky. You never know when fires can get out of control, what kind of damage it can cause, the buildings next door. What if there was somebody in the building that could have gotten harmed? I'm not for, this is unacceptable and should not be happening. And so here we have Melanie Joly calling it out. There is a double standard. They tend to call out these sorts of attacks, but when it's on a mosque, they don't tend to call them out as much for some reason. But, they should call them all out. So, but to attack her by saying, Melissa Landsman, by saying, this appalling tweet is still up, you must have forgotten to retract it. First of all, how is this tweet even appalling? By saying bombing a hospital is an unthinkable act, and there is no doubt that doing so is absolutely illegal. How is that an appalling tweet? So what, Melissa? Are you pro bombing hospitals? Is that what you're saying? That it's thinkable to bomb hospitals? If you are calling this appalling? But that is what you get with like this Zionist brain people where they have to make it about them no matter what. And this is who we have in our government right now. These are politicians in our government right now saying this stuff. And I've covered it plenty of times how the framing around a pro-Palestinian rally will be covered versus that of there was a march for Israel, how that gets handled. It's all pretty biased in how it's covered by the media, how politicians respond to it, how the police decide to enforce certain things like, you can't be blocking a sidewalk, so we're going to arrest you type thing. But also, again, it's just a lot of the double standards that we seem to be facing in this country when it comes to enforcing accountability on hate crimes and stuff. So this is from the lefty Canadian Radical on Twitter. Canada is charging journalists with accusations that they vandalized the Nazi memorial. This is not surprising. And she's quote tweeting Yves Engler saying, Canada again voted against combating glorification of Nazism, neo-Nazism, and other practices that contribute to fueling contemporary forms of racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and related intolerance. Yeah, Canada voted against that again because this is a deeply racist country. And that's the thing that always gets me about these Zionists is they don't seem to understand how friendly Nazis are with our government. But what is this that she is talking about? She's talking about this. Police treat Nazi Let's start that sentence again. Police treat Nazi monument as war memorial in alleged vandalism case. It clearly shows that Edmonton Police and the Crown Prosecutor's Office are lacking grossly in historical knowledge. Edmonton Police and the Alberta Crown Prosecutor Services are treating a Waffen SS monument, so there's no doubting what this monument is for, as a protected war memorial in the charges against journalist Duncan Kinney. So they are charging a journalist for vandalizing a Nazi memorial. It is likely the first time Canadian journalists have been charged with vandalizing a war memorial, as well as the first time anyone has been charged with vandalizing a memorial to Canada's wartime enemies. The charge, mischief relating to war memorials, which carries a maximum 10 years prison sentence, seems to have been intended to punish vandalism of, I know this word, I just can't think of it right now. Monuments and dedicated to Canada's war dead. The criminal code specifies that the charge relates to mischief and relation to property that is a building structure or part thereof primaries. Okay, whatever. The monument in question is located in St. Michael's Cemetery in North Edmonton, honors Ukrainian veterans of the SS Galicia Division, which fought on the side of Nazi Germany during the Second World War. Kinney was also arrested and charged in October 2022 with 1 count mischief for allegedly spray painting the words "actual Nazi" on a statue of Roman whatever, a Ukrainian nationalist and Nazi collaborator responsible for the extermination of tens of thousands of Poles and Jews during the Second World War. What the fuck is this memorial doing up? Why? Why is this memorial there in the first place? How is that a thing? But you know, like there is an issue with Nazi memorials and monuments up across all across Canada. And a journalist is being charged for spray painting actual Nazi when the person the memorial was for was an actual Nazi. But funny how people like Melissa Lansman never seem to pay attention to the fact that there's actual monuments to Nazis in this country, and is just upset that somebody had the gall to say that bombing a hospital should be illegal. This country is messed up. This country. The politicians in this country are so messed up. Back to the main shot. Don't have too much more to go through. Oh, I wanted to keep it short today. I always say that. I know I always say that. But, you know, Looney Tunes 9000 isn't here to, you know, poke at me to go longer. Geodragon. Left the box, no worries. News is often rough. Let's see. Oh, I already went over that part. John Davis. Crispy curls sound like a yummy snack. It kind of does, but, you know, I can't help it. I have to stop myself from fidgeting with them and playing with them throughout this, because once I start, I don't stop. And then I can like scrape off some of the gel or something, and then they become a lot more fuzzy and a lot less tactile. But while they're tactile, I love to play with them. But now that I've started, I'm going to be reading the articles and being like this. Ah! Sorry, I just saw something under treading in Twitter, and I want to see if that's the actual case. Do I want to know? Do I want to know? Jank is trending under politics. Yeah. I don't think I want to know. I'm going to be doing a video shortly. But the fact that he was at the Turning Points USA to be all chummy with Charlie Kirk on stage. And he tries to claim that none of his stances have changed. Nah, not buying it. Not buying it. But I have a video that my brain was working on till 4 o'clock in the morning yesterday. That I'm trying to like, okay, so I need to find this clip and this clip and this clip, because I often see a lot of these clips go through Twitter and stuff like that. And I think to myself, oh, I have something to say about that. But then I totally forget to maybe just do something more than like it. that I should actually save it in a folder somewhere for future use. But sometimes I don't realize I'm going to be making a story on something, and then it doesn't occur to me at the time to that I should like clip it. But so I have like this list of things that I need to gather up for this scripted video that I plan on putting together and hopefully get it out before the end of the year. Stormfront, yes, James. That is the name that I was thinking. I love The Boys too. I love that series. But I have a hard time remembering names and stuff. Like I can watch an entire series and still not know the name of anyone. Because I did once binge watch Game of Thrones. If you ask me to name a character, I cannot. But if I heard some characters' names, I could be like, yes, they were on Game of Thrones. Who they were on Game of Thrones, I don't know. I am that bad with names. Bad lefty, Sammy equal that smiley face, and Sandy equal that smiley face. Yes. I'm doing it, aren't I? Yeah. Too late. I'm just going to be doing it for the rest of the stream. Oh. BCAT. We have Zionists spread far and wide in the U.S. government. Yeah. So, Life, did anyone hear about the congresswoman that went missing for 6 months and they just found her in a retirement facility for dementia clients? I want her job. I heard about that, but this is Canadian news, so I wasn't going to cover it. You see, that's the thing. If Majority Report was on this week, I'm pretty sure that would get covered. But let me know this week if you want me to highlight some more American stories in absent of all the other programming that we're used to. Because I'm hoping to do more live streams this week than normal. I won't be doing one tomorrow because I want to just focus on getting all the clips and stuff together that I need for this live stream that I'm planning. And Christmas Day will be a more lighthearted day. But I do plan on doing more live streams this week to fill in the gap of all the other missing programming. So let me know if you want me to actually touch on that story, and I'll find some articles and stuff to go over. Because, yeah, that is interesting how you can have somebody not even show up to work. But, if you don't show up to work at, at McDonald's, you can be damn sure the manager there knows. You'll be fired. John Davis, you have to be in your 70s with dementia to qualify for Congress. Yeah, pretty much. BB is incredibly responsible for the rise of anti-Semitism. Yeah. Benjamin Netanyahu is absolutely making the world a more dangerous place for Jewish people. It's absolutely. Because what he is doing to Palestinians is part of the reason why there's such a rise in anti-Semitic attacks and hate and stuff like that. And he's absolutely responsible for a lot of the hate that's going on right now and destruction. The amount of blood on that person's hands. I don't understand how somebody can be that evil. I can't get my head into that, how evil you have to be to do that, not only to the Palestinians, but to his own people. Just horrendous beyond belief. Genie bottle religions are supposed to be people of peace, yet have proved over and over that is not true. It's why I don't believe in religious institutions, because they're there to manipulate, to make people conform. Like there was a purpose to them at one point to kind of keep people in line and whatnot. Also for community and things of that sort. But what they've become and what they've religious organizations, what they've been allowed to get away with, what they try to enforce on people, all that sort of stuff. You know, I believe people have the right to believe in whatever religion they want, but religious institutions I have issue with. So Life, do you think Norvana is the English TYT? Been watching the, how do you say his name? Clap. I can't say his name right now. I watched the video earlier, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. Clomp. Wow, I'm really out of it right now. I can't even think about how to say his name. Because I keep on thinking carnival when I see it. Let's see. GeoDragon, I just got an ad, Sandy. Yes, I have them on conservative mode. And again, I keep on asking people if it becomes too bothersome, let me know and I'll cheat again. Where I choose the option to manually enter them, but then just ADHD forget, which is part true, you know. But having some ads on automated, it helps my channel in the algorithms. But if it gets too bothersome for people, even though I have it on its lowest setting, let me know. People talking about the Navarro, I guess. And then Bad Lefty saying, pathetic, Sandy. Absolutely pathetic, in my opinion. And I have no idea what you're talking about. I jumped. Many doctors don't allow Nazis to conflate Jews and Zionism and Israel. Yeah. Yeah, it just reminds me of the, I covered it earlier, just the new government definition of what anti-Semitism is, and it's like, oh yes, you're not allowed to compare Zionism to Nazism, and you're not allowed to criticize the state of Israel, but you're also not allowed to conflate all Jewish people or connect all Jewish people with the state of Israel and stuff like that. And it's like, no, we should be allowed to criticize any state. And if you don't want to be conflated with Nazis, don't act like Nazis. It's very simple, actually. BCat, if I wear curls, they're crunchy until I crunch the crunch out. Yeah, pretty much. I love having curly hair. I know a lot of people who say they have curly hair wish they had straight hair or that it's more attractive. People, for some reason, say that it's more attractive, which I don't care what people hairstyle thinks is more attractive. All I know is that I love having curly hair. I love the feeling of it. I love what you can do with it. I love the bounce. I love the look of it. I've never not liked having curly and wavy hair. Mayday doctors, Jank getting the clout, yes. Matthew the Celt, I just gave Chank some keen advice on his live show. Kind of made him look bad too. What, are they? Is TYT live this week? Huh, I guess so. Let me know when you made that. When you made him look bad. Because there's a bit of a trick. You can't watch TYT live after, like, they unlist their videos. But if you click on it and you don't watch it at the time, you can go back to your history and you still have the link of it, so you can go and review it, so you don't have to watch it. But if you click on it and then you hear that there is an outcry for whatever reason, you can always go back to it and watch that part. So let me know what you meant by keen advice that made him look bad. I might use it for the video I'm working on. Lynn, has Sandy previously discussed the Trespass Act was proposed last week in Ontario legislature? I talked about that, yes, in my last news live stream. So I think that was on the 18th. I haven't, I'm working on clipping it, so that should be out soon, where I talk about, you know, the $10,000 fine for drug users, and how having tent encampments on property can be seen as trespassing, so that they can be torn down and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So I will be clipping that segment. So Matthew the Celt, I asked him, didn't TYT used to develop leftist media? Then told him if he really wanted to fight the right, he'd field Francesca Ravana and Yasmin backing AOC. Genie Bottle, thank you, Sandy. Mods, chatters, wish you all a wonderful holiday season. See you soon. Farewell, my lovelies. Have a good holiday season. John Davis, fingers crossed for the Xmas show to be 6 hours long. Well, it all depends on engagement. Let's see. Oh, I'm getting too distracted with the chat. I just have a few tabs to go over, really. And then I saw my phone flash, just make sure. Oh, was that tonight? Sorry, I just forgot that a friend had asked me to go out to something tonight, and I completely forgot. I think there was other people involved. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting like so distracted. Oh, setting the time at 9 p.m. Okay. So that would give me a hard out. Okay. Ah. It's a good thing I started earlier. Anyway, let's get back to the news. Okay, so I caught it. It was at 9 p.m. that she wanted to hang out. So that's still a bit of time. Okay. Apparently Donald Trump wants to take over all of the northern continent. All of the, what are we? The northwestern, northeast? He wants to take over this hemisphere, whatever. I don't know. Anything within proximity of the United States, he wants to take over. We have this from Democracy Now! There we go.
His selection. President-elect Trump has threatened to retake the Panama Canal if Panama doesn't lower fees for U.S. ships. The United States controlled the waterway since the early 20th century, but in 1977, President Jimmy Carter signed a landmark treaty to give Panama control of the canal. Trump made the threat during a speech Sunday in Arizona.
If the principles, both moral and legal, of this magnanimous gesture of giving are not followed, then we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to the United States of America in full, quickly, and without question.
Panama's president, Jose Raul Mulino, rejected Trump's threat in a video posted online.
I want to express that every square meter of the Panama Canal and its adjacent areas belong to Panama and will continue to belong to Panama. The sovereignty and independence of our country are not negotiable.
On Sunday, President...
And it doesn't stop there.
President-elect Trump also posted a message online saying the United States should take ownership of Greenland, which is controlled by Denmark. Trump wrote, quote, "For purposes of national security and freedom throughout the world, the United States of America feels that the ownership and control of Greenland is an absolute necessity," unquote. Trump's statement on Greenland was made as he announced he was picking PayPal co-founder Ken Howry as his pick for United States ambassador to Denmark. Germany's in mourning after
It's one of those things like, you want to think that maybe he's not being serious, but if he's even being slightly serious on all the things he's saying, that he basically wants to take over Canada, take over Mexico, now it's the Panama Canal, now it's Greenland. And I tend to think he's serious, and he will try these things, which is just really disturbing. And who's going to stop him? Like, it's just, I honestly think he's going to try to do everything he's talking about. It's just a matter of if he can figure out how and if there's anyone around to stop him. But the fact that he keeps on making these threats for no reason, like antagonizing all of the surrounding countries from you, all of your biggest trading partners for no reason. And there's nobody in his office saying, you know, maybe tone it down a bit. Like, there's nobody there to push back against all of this right now. Like, a lot of people are saying that it would have been better off if Trump just got his 2 runs right together. But with that period of Biden in between, that allowed him to build up forces to select other people, to filter out people who are a little bit more not as sycophantic and things of that sort. And I'm really worried about what he's going to try to do. Because what is stopping him at this point? There's no checks and balances put in the way. And people might just say, oh, well, he's joking or he's not being serious. But how do you know? Really, how do you know? I don't want to find out the hard way he's being serious about any of this. And a lot of it could just be bluster, like the same bluster he put up when he was saying that the wall would be built and Mexico would pay for it. But it doesn't exactly make all of the countries around him feel safe. It's not good for trading. It's not good for relations. It's not good for international anything. And there's no one around him stopping him. And just, this can't be allowed to go on like this. But it's like, for all the things that we can think about how horrible this next presidential run will be, there's going to be things thrown at us that we never saw coming. And all we can do is hope that there's still semblance of countries left over. But I honestly think that everything he's threatened, he's going to try. It is disturbing. Like, just the way that he wants to seem to expand the United States, and how there's like so many people in Canada be like, oh yeah, we want to be American. Oh, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. It's easy for Canadians to say that because they've been spoiled with healthcare here. They don't know what life is like. Down in the States where it's tied to your job and not even good healthcare, and you have to pay hundreds of dollars a month just for healthcare and stuff. Canadians up here are spoiled, and all they see is like the gun-toting, say anything anti-culture war bros down in the States and say, we want that. Well, there's a lot of other baggage that comes along with that none of them actually want. You know? Up here, yeah, we don't have free speech. You know, there's freedom of expression, but we don't have free speech. You know, hate speech is a thing up here. And to me, living in this society, that's a small price to pay, knowing that if I go to the emerge and I need surgery or something, I'm not going to see a bill. That doesn't cost me anything. That I can go to a doctor, walk-in clinic if need be, and see a doctor when I need to. Lots of things wrong with this healthcare system, no doubt about it. I talk about it all the time. Still, leaps and bounds and measures beyond better than what Americans have right now. Canadians don't actually want to give that up to become American. I'm just saying. Anyway, let's get on to the next couple stories. Like I said, I don't actually have that much to go through. So apparently, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is pushing back on what Doug Ford is saying. So the problem is that we have Doug Ford saying that he wants to fight the United States with the threatened tariffs, and he wants to talk to Donald Trump, and he wants to do all this international relation, which is out of the purview of a provincial government. International relations is a federal level issue. And he's threatening to like shut off the power and stuff like that. So now we have conservative governments that are like, we should be kissing his ass more though. So we have Danielle Smith, who's had, you know, Tucker Carlson on stage with her while they talk about the replacement conspiracy theory and transphobic bullshit and all that sort of stuff. And I haven't actually watched this yet, so let's see what this is from Colin DeMello from Global News. New Alberta Premier Danielle Smith believes Ontario should walk back any talk of retaliatory measures such as cutting off energy to the U.S. It's too dangerous to even talk about that, Smith told Global News.
Behind the unity on display at Canada's Premier's meeting this week was quiet concern that Ontario might be going too far. Premier Doug Ford has threatened to cut off electricity exports to millions of Americans, a point he reiterated during an appearance on CNN.
But that's a tool that we have in our toolbox. We power over 1.5 million homes in Michigan and counties in Michigan and New York State and Wisconsin. That's the last thing I want to do.
While premiers have been curating their own list of items to possibly tariff, the majority have dismissed the idea of cutting Americans off, fearing how it could play out.
I think it's a non-starter. I think it's too dangerous to even talk about cutting off energy. The wars have been started over that kind of conversation. We got to walk that talk back because there's one conversation to be had about tariffs, but we can't be talking about cutting off any of that kind of vital product.
In an interview with Global News, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith said she's been actively trying to convince premiers to avoid extreme measures. Have you told them your disagreement at all?
To talk to...
Yeah, it's the conservative premiers are in a bit of a pickle right now because you have them wanting to look strong and tough and not be pushovers and stuff. So then you have Doug Ford that's like, no, we're just going to shut off energy if they threaten to go through with these tariffs. And then you have Danielle Smith, like the other faction of the conservatives, but it's like, but we like Donald Trump and we want to kiss that ass. So we can't be threatening this sort of stuff. And so there's this weird balance going on with the conservatives right now of wanting to appease Donald Trump while still wanting to look tough. And they're kind of not meshing right now.
To Doug about his position. He knows mine. He knows that energy exports are not on the table for any kind of curtailment, that we know that the Americans are looking at us as a secure supplier of energy. That's one of our chief talking points. And if we were to disrupt that relationship, that's not just a minor skirmish, that's a generational skirmish that would be very difficult to walk back.
While Premier Doug Ford has since softened his language, the government hasn't taken the threat off the table, leading provincial politicians to caution the government.
Because we need to be united across jurisdictional lines, across party lines, to have a full Team Canada approach. And so, Premier, don't go rogue, but keep fighting for Ontario.
The Premier is now hoping to make a more direct appeal.
I'd love to sit down with the president, businessman to businessman.
Hoping their similar dispositions can help strike a deal. At Queen's Park, Colin DeMello, Global News.
Yeah, fascist to fascist. Yeah. Can we have a conversation? Fascist to fascist. Oh. Like the thought of people like Doug Ford being the ones trying to negotiate with Donald Trump is just, But meanwhile, how are things looking over here in this province and stuff? And right, Daily Bread Food Bank holds holiday food sort amid historic usage. So this is the state of Canada right now. And we have politicians that want to focus on, oh no, there's a single trans woman that wants to be in a woman's prison. Doug Ford threatening to withhold energy and stuff and have all this hoopla over the tariffs. And meanwhile, what is happening right now is Canadians are going hungry. Close to 200 volunteers, several of whom donned Santa and elf hats, helped sort and pack needed food donations at the Daily Bread Food Bank Center in Etobicoke on Saturday. The annual sorting event is happening at a time where the use of food banks have reached historic levels, said Daily Bread CEO Neil Hetherington. We are seeing the highest level of food bank usage ever, he told CBC Toronto. By calendar end, we will be at 3.75 million visits in a single year. It took 38 years for us to serve 1 million client visits. Wow. Visits have increased by 25% since last year, the food bank said in a news release figure that is over 4.5 times greater than the pre-pandemic levels. The charity also said more than 1 in 10 Torontonians are relying on its services to feed their families and themselves. 4 years ago, Daily Bread sent out 10 million meals, Hetherington said, in 2024. That number skyrocketed to 50 million meals. Reminder, there's only 40 million people in Canada. And I get this is like multiple meals to same families and stuff, but still. It shouldn't be on organizations like this. Like, that's the thing. If this organization, the Daily Bread Food Bank, if it has the capacity to send out 50 million meals, you can be damn sure this government has the ability to make sure everyone has a meal. That is wrong, he said. The good news is we can do something about it. Volunteer Ryan Patchison says he has used the food bank on and off throughout his life. He said the turnout Saturday was fantastic. You show up, you do something that matters, and you make a real difference, he said. Dennis Dussin brought his 2 sons along to volunteer with him. Okay, we're just getting to like some feel-good stories. So, affordable housing is one solution, CEO says. One of the policy solutions that could reduce food insecurity is increasing the city's affordable housing stock, Hetherington said. My hope is that there are tens of thousands of Torontonians who find themselves in decent affordable housing next holiday season, and therefore don't need to have to make use of the food charity next holiday, he said. In an email, spokesperson for the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing said the province has stepped up to the table when it comes to investing in housing. Housing starts are down in this province. Over the next 3 years, we're investing a record $3 billion in affordable housing and anti-homelessness and emergency shelter supports. Just last week, we announced an additional targeting investment of $75 million to help connect those living in encampments with needing housing, blah, blah, blah. Right. $100 million on a advertising campaign from the Ford government recently. You know, they want to spend $60 billion on a highway under a highway that nobody needs. Lowest housing start, historically speaking, ever in Ontario. In Toronto, housing remains a top priority for policy. No, it doesn't. So with this crisis, and this is a crisis going on, what do we have? Well, we have him spending taxpayer money to put out a cutesy little ad. As we look ahead to another new year, and this is from Doug Ford's Twitter account, here's what we're working on to bring you good cheer. Merry Christmas to all with the new year in sight. And Merry Christmas, Ontario, to all a good night. I have not actually seen this yet.
It was the night before Christmas, and our province stood tall, with visions of progress uniting us all. As we look ahead to another new year, here's what we're working on to bring you good cheer.
Dear Santa, Ontarians are stuck in traffic, losing time each day. With crowded roads and endless jams, it shouldn't be this way. So this year, I'm wishing big. Let gridlock disappear and bring joy to everyone this coming new year.
By spending millions, tens of millions of dollars of removing much needed bike lanes that can result in the injury and death of people. Oh, reducing gridlock and saving you time act building Bradford bypass, largest transport expert North America, EV. Yeah, because, you know, a traffic jam is far more impactful on people's lives than, you know, getting hit by a car when you're riding your bike.
Dear Santa, Ontario's bright with nuclear power that's clean, with more power plants soon to be seen. This year, our wish, both bold and clear, is for more electrification far and near.
Unless we shut it off to the Americans because of tariffs.
Dear Santa, this holiday season, Ontario shines bright. With jobs and investments, our future takes flight. With billions of dollars in plants for EVs and Ontario minerals in their batteries.
This is some stretching rhyming there.
Dear Santa, we're investing in workers and in our skilled trades, so they can find careers that last for decades. With training and programs, their futures are bright, as they build our great province, working hard day and night.
How much more of this?
Dear Santa, our healthcare heroes are ready each day, with new hospitals and training to show the way, expanding services, making access near, ensuring every Ontarian has the care they hold dear.
As Christmas arrives with hope shining bright, we're forging ahead with unwavering might. I'm grateful to the people of Ontario for your trust and your cheer. Together, we'll build a future that's stronger each year. Merry Christmas to all with the new year in sight. Merry Christmas, Ontario, and to all a good night. Ho, ho, ho.
So he is tweeting this out. And Laura Babcock quote tweeted that saying, Premier Ford, it wasn't a good night for a woman who froze to death outside a Shoppers Drug Mart in Toronto. It won't be a good night for tens of thousands who sleep outside. It won't be a good night for people who can't access closed ERs or family doctors. Shame on you. The amount of social murder he is responsible for, and yet he releases this cutesy little commercial that taxpayers paid for to push his propaganda. Most of it's lies. Most of it is demonstrably not true, especially when it comes to the healthcare aspects. But people buy into it. They see this and they think, oh, it's all nice and cutesy and stuff. But they don't pay attention to the actual policy. They don't pay attention to what's actually happening. Like, all it takes to win over the electorate is putting on a good show. This country is so damn politically illiterate, and people die because of it. But here he is, looking all warm and cozy, just playing it up, while there's people, over 1,400 encampments this year. In this province right now, there's over 1,400 encampments. That's where those people will be spending Christmas. What a piece of shit this man is. Okay. Just two more things to get to. So last news live stream I was mentioning, last news live stream I was mentioning that Rachel Gilmore had just got laid off from her job and she was struggling and she needed people's support. Well, another progressive network that I'm aware of apparently is struggling right now and also needs people's support. It's The Breakdown Alberta. I feature their tweets a lot on my channel for content. They do a fantastic job covering Alberta politics. And let's see what's happening with them. So The Breakdown tweets out, a rich and powerful figure who has made millions off Alberta taxpayers is trying to shut down our show with a $6 million lawsuit. We refuse to be silenced. You can help us fight back at SaveTheBreakdown.ca. Thank you.
Slap suits are designed to silence voices. I and the show refuse to be silenced. Too often today, the rich and the powerful use their massive resources to try and silence critical voices. I believe that we need to stand up to the rich and powerful. Again, I also believe that all of our coverage has been truthful, as accurate as possible, in the public interest and fair comment, and I stand by it. Now, while the show does enjoy modest support through our Patreon page, anybody who's followed the show for any length of time knows that I work professionally as a paramedic in Calgary, and I do not have the resources on my own to fight back against what I believe is a completely unfounded and, quite frankly, spiteful lawsuit. Please help. If you believe in the importance of freedom of expression and of being able to hold the rich and powerful to the same standards that anybody else would be held to, please contribute what you can. We have set up a GoFundMe to start to mount our legal defense. You can find that GoFundMe at www.SaveTheBreakdownAB.ca.
Oops, over here. Let's get that link. Did I spell that right? So just more from them. The breakdown and our hosts are the target of a $6 million lawsuit by the importer of Vonch masks, Adobe children's medications, and the host of staffers, MLAs, and ministers in elite skyboxes. Just seeing if they have a link. Oh, save the breakdown. .ab. Okay. So let's go. There we go. Their GoFundMe. So they're at 85% of their goal. I will, let's see, share. Do you have just a link? Oh, copy link right there. Okay. Tossing it into the sandbox. They do fantastic work. If you can support them, please do. Because they, like I said, I've used their content a lot for my channel, just to keep up to date with what Danielle Smith is doing and the conservative parties there. And yeah, they do fantastic work. And to be targeted like this, we're going to be seeing more of this, unfortunately, with people who are making inroads, people who are getting heard. You're going to find the right wing, the rich and powerful, trying to find different ways of shutting us down. And so up here in Canada, it's not unlike the States. You can still get slap suits and all that sort of stuff and have to go to court. And partly that is how one of the encampments, the pro-Palestinian encampments, got shut down, was the threat of being sued for $3 million for reasons and stuff. So again, if you can help them, please do. Fortunately, they are already at 85% of their goal, but you know, every little bit helps. And finally, a little bit of good news. New Brunswick Liberal government revises policy 713, parental consent no longer required for students' preferred names. So when the Conservative government was in, they put in this policy 713, which would out trans students to parents if they wanted to use a different name at school than at home. Lots of that was going across the country. But then fortunately, the last election, the Liberals in that province won handedly. And so they are now reversing that. I haven't watched the video, so let's watch the video.
New Brunswick Liberals are fulfilling one of their campaign promises. This is in reference to the gender policy in schools. You remember it was a big deal during the election campaign. Well, the education minister announced today students under the age of 16 will not need their parents' permission to informally use their chosen first names and pronouns in school, although parental awareness is encouraged. But formal use will require parental consent.
We really wanted to make it explicit and obvious that we want to involve parents and families as much as possible. So we really added a parental awareness piece that we thought was really important, because with the 2020 version, parents felt left out. And that was a problem. So with this one, we really wanted to put that on the forefront, that's what we're aiming for, that parents be aware and involved as much as possible, but still following the child's rhythm.
The education minister says there will be training and resources provided to teachers. The Progressive Conservative government changed Policy 713, you'll recall, to require students to obtain parental consent before using their preferred names and pronouns in schools.
Yay, so
The
some
New
good
Brunswick
news. Okay. Elections matter. They matter. Okay, I want to quickly wrap things up so that I have time to get something to eat before I head out. So I'm actually going to do like a bit of a hard out. So 5 more minutes. Quickly scan the sandbox. Again, like I said, I will be doing a live stream on Wednesday, which is Christmas Day. Yeah. I'm just going to skim over some of these. Matthew the Cat, Elon is a douchebag all the way through. Even if his father said piss off and go screw, he's capped on EVs all over the land and moving Prez puppet with his ass long hand. I get that was a rhyme, probably intentional. John Davis, what? Politicians fulfilling campaign promises? Yeah, sometimes it happens. Sometimes. Okay. Okay, I think I can wrap things up now. Not that one. Ah, that one. Let's do that one. Get it all nice and crowded on the screen. Yep, all these things. Yay, you know what I'm talking about. Thank you to everyone who has helped out with my Patreon. Every little bit helps. And I really do mean that. Everyone who's ever supported through my Patreon, I truly appreciate it. Anyone who's sent a transfer through PayPal or email to help with my cat Frodo, who is still doing well. Thank you. You know, it means the world to me. My Amazon wish list and the linked in the description box below. I've gotten some wonderful, wonderful items off of that list to help with my cats, to help with my studio, or just to make me smile. And that's one of the best ways that you can do that. Thank you to all the mods for being amazing. Thank you to the person who is helping me to edit videos. It takes a lot off my plate to have just even a little bit of help in that area. As I totally play with my crunchy hair right now, because I gotta go. So, I think I thanked everyone that I'm supposed to thank. Wednesday, I don't know what time I'm starting, but it will be during the day. Anyway, I gotta run. So, salut, à la prochaine. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. I'm Sandy, wishing your tomorrow is better than your today. Where is it?